He bowled like a warrior, vanished from the spotlight, then helped spark Olympic gold. Winston Benjamin's story will blow your mind. Winston Benjamin's name might not sit on the tip of every cricket fan's tongue, but when he had the ball in his hand, batsmen held their breath. He came from a small island with no fame, no spotlight, and no guarantees, yet he went on to bowl against the best in the world. He didn't just play for the West Indies, he fought for it. With every delivery, every stare, every wicket, Winston sent a message. He was not here to be overlooked. He came up through pain, struggle, and silence. And after his career ended, when most people had forgotten his name, he did something even more powerful. He played a part in shaping a moment that shocked the world, an Olympic dream that came true. This is not just about wickets or matches. This is about how one man's quiet strength echoed from dusty fields to global glory. Winston Benjamin was born on December 31, 1964, in All Saints, Antigua. The timing was prophetic, arriving at the year's end, as if the universe was preparing to close one chapter and begin another. Life on the island was simple but tough. The Caribbean sun burned hot, the humidity was suffocating, and opportunities were as scarce as rain in drought season. Like many kids there, Winston learned to be strong early. He didn't have fancy gear or perfect ground. His cricket field was the street, cracked and uneven, where cars would honk and force games to pause. His first cricket balls were rubber ones that bounced unpredictably off the rough asphalt. His first stumps were broken sticks, jammed into whatever soft ground he could find. But what he had more than anything was passion, pure, burning passion that couldn't be bought or taught. He bowled until his fingers hurt and his knees ached. He practiced his run-up on the beach, feeling the sand shift beneath his feet, building the leg strength that would later terrorize batsmen. He wasn't chasing money, he wasn't chasing fame, he just loved the game, and that love took him far, very far. His family wasn't wealthy. His father worked multiple jobs, fishing in the early morning, construction during the day, and odd jobs in the evening. His mother cleaned houses and took in washing. They scraped together every penny, but there was never enough for proper cricket equipment. Winston's first real cricket bat was borrowed from a neighbor. His first pair of spikes were hand-me-downs 2 sizes too big, stuffed with newspaper to make them fit, but none of that mattered. When Winston ran into bowl, when he felt that leather ball in his hand, when he heard the crack of wood against ball, nothing else existed. The local cricket club noticed him when he was just 15. He was already tall for his age, all limbs and energy, with a natural rhythm that coaches dream of finding. His action was raw but pure, his pace was genuine, and his hunger was unmistakable. The older players took him under their wing, teaching him the finer points of the game, but mostly they just got out of his way and let him bowl. Winston started playing for the Leeward Islands, a regional team in the Caribbean. This was his first taste of serious cricket, where every match mattered, and every performance was scrutinized. He was tall, lean and fast. His bowling action was like a whip, smooth, fluid, and devastating. Soon, people noticed. Coaches saw his speed. Batsmen feared his bounce. Commentators began whispering his name. It wasn't long before selectors gave him a chance. The first time Winston put on a West Indies jersey, he cried. Not in front of anyone. He waited until he was alone in the dressing room. But the tears came anyway. All those years of bowling on broken pitches, all those dreams whispered to himself in the dark, all those moments when he wondered if a boy from All Saints could really make it, they all crashed over him at once. In 1987, he made his debut for the West Indies. To wear that maroon cap was a dream come true, but it wasn't easy. At the time, the West Indies team was packed with stars: Malcolm Marshall, Joel Garner, Curtly Ambrose, Courtney Walsh. These weren't just bowlers, they were legends. The bowling attack was so fearsome that batsmen around the world lost sleep before facing them. Winston had to fight for every game, every over. The competition was brutal. In the nets, he bowled his heart out. In team meetings he listened and learned, but he didn't back down. He stood toe-to-toe with giants and made his own name. The pressure was immense. These were the glory days of West Indies cricket, when the team was virtually unbeatable. Expectations were sky-high. Fans expected dominance, media expected perfection, and Winston, still just a young man from a small island, was expected to maintain that standard. Some cracked under the pressure. Winston thrived on it. He played his first Test match in 1988 against India. It was a proud moment, but also terrifying. The crowd was massive, the stakes were high, and Winston was facing some of the best batsmen in the world. He bowled hard, fast, and with heart. His first wicket, a clean bowled delivery that sent the stumps flying, was a moment he would never forget. The roar from the crowd, the congratulations from teammates, the feeling of belonging, it all crystallized in that instant. Over the next 8 years he played 21 tests and 85 one-day internationals. He took him 61 international wickets, but those numbers only tell half the story. It was how he bowled. He was relentless. His line was precise. His pace was genuine, and his bounce was wicked. Even on the flattest pitches, he found ways to trouble batsmen. His slower ball was a work of art, disguised so perfectly that even experienced players were left swinging at thin air. Winston's bowling wasn't just about speed, it was about intelligence. He studied batsmen like a scientist, memorizing their weaknesses, their tendencies, their fears. He knew exactly where to pitch the ball to each player, how to set them up for the kick. His field placements were strategic, his changes of pace were calculated, and his aggression was controlled. He was a thinking bowler in an era when many relied purely on pace and bounce. The Caribbean crowds loved him. They saw something of themselves in his determination, his refusal to be intimidated. When he ran in to bowl, the stadiums erupted. "Benjamin! Benjamin!" they chanted, and the sound carried him forward like wind beneath his wing. He gave them moments of pure joy, wickets that sparked wild celebrations, performances that reminded everyone why West Indies cricket was the envy of the world. In 1993, he delivered one of the greatest ODI performances of the decade. 5 wickets for just 22 runs against South Africa. That day everything clicked. The pitch was good for batting, the South African lineup was strong, and the pressure was on. But Winston was in a zone that few athletes ever experience. Every ball felt perfect, leaving his hand. Every movement was fluid. Every plan worked to perfection. He tore through their lineup like a storm. First he got their opener with a delivery that seemed away at the last moment. Then their number 3, caught behind off a ball that climbed sharply. The crowd was on its feet. His teammates were pumping their fists, and Winston kept coming. By the time he was done, South Africa's batting order was in ruins. Commentators were stunned. Fans went wild. For that one night, Winston Benjamin wasn't just a cricketer, he was a weapon. The performance made headlines across the cricket world. Benjamin's blitz read one newspaper, the Antiguan Hurricane read another. For a brief moment, he was the most talked about bowler in world cricket. But Winston remained humble. In the post-match interview, he credited his teammates, his coaches and his family. He never forgot where he came from or who had helped him along the way. But behind the glory there was pain. Fast bowling is brutal on the body. The human frame isn't designed to repeatedly hurl itself forward at maximum speed, twisting and contorting to generate pace and movement. Winston suffered injuries, bad ones, his knees swollen and aching after every match, his back compressed from the constant pounding, his ankles tender from the jarring impact of his follow-through. They all screamed from the pressure. He often bowled through pain. Cortisone injections became routine. Ice baths were part of his daily ritual. Physiotherapy sessions stretched long into the night. And while he never complained publicly, the toll was heavy. His family saw it. His close friends knew it. But Winston kept going because that's what fast bowlers do. The medical staff did their best. But sports medicine in the 1990s wasn't what it is today. Players were expected to push through pain, to show toughness, to never admit weakness. Winston played by those rules, even when his body begged him to stop. He missed family gatherings for treatment. He spent holidays in rehabilitation. He sacrificed his long-term health for short-term glory. As younger players came in, Winston was pushed out. The cricket world is ruthless in its pursuit of the next big thing. Fresh legs, unmarked bodies, hungry minds, they all looked more appealing than a battle-scarred veteran. There was no grand goodbye, no standing ovation. He was quietly dropped from the team in the mid. Just like that, one of the fiercest bowlers of his time was gone from international cricket. The silence was deafening. One day he was bowling to packed stadiums. The next he was watching games on television like any other fan. The transition from hero to forgotten man happened faster than anyone expected. But Winston didn't rage against the dying of the light. He accepted his fate with the same quiet dignity that had defined his career. But Winston wasn't finished. Not even close. He went back to Antigua. He could have chased media gigs, commentary work, or a luxury life trading on his cricket fame. Instead, he walked straight to the fields. He looked around and saw something familiar. Young boys with fire in their hearts and no one to guide them. Boys with no proper shoes, no good bats, no coaching. Boys playing with broken equipment on uneven grounds, just like he had decades earlier. He saw himself, and he decided to change that. Winston started coaching. He didn't ask for money, he just showed up. Every day, rain or shine, he trained kids in the scorching heat, under whatever shade he could find in broken nets, held together with rope and hope. He didn't care about the conditions, he just wanted to give back. His coaching style was different from what he'd experienced as a player. He was patient where others had been demanding. He was encouraging where others had been critical. He understood that these kids needed more than technical instruction. They needed someone to believe in them. He gave them confidence, structure, and dreams. His voice wasn't loud, his actions. Many former players fade away after retirement, becoming bitter about their lost glory, or obsessed with reliving past triumphs. Winston built something that would last. He created a pipeline of talent that would benefit cricket for generations, and his work didn't stop at cricket. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Winston became involved in community sports programs across the Caribbean. He helped build systems that supported all young athletes, not just cricketers. His vision was broader than any single sport. He saw how athletics could transform communities, how it could give young people purpose and direction. One of those programs reached a quiet teenage boy in Jamaica, a boy with long legs, a big smile, and incredible speed. His name, Usain Bolt. While Winston wasn't Bolt's coach, he played a key role in helping connect grassroots sports to better support and funding. It was Winston's voice, behind closed doors, that pushed for better equipment, better facilities, and more respect for young talent. The structure that allowed Bolt to rise didn't appear out of nowhere. It was built by people like Winston. Winston attended meetings where he was often the only former international athlete in the room. He spoke passionately about the need for investment in youth sport. He shared stories of talented kids who had fallen through the cracks. He fought for funding, for equipment, for recognition. His reputation as a straight shooter and his obvious dedication to the cause made him a powerful advocate. The work was often thankless. Progress was slow. Bureaucracy was frustrating. But Winston persisted. He knew that for every program that succeeded, for every young athlete who got the support they needed, the entire region benefited. He was playing a longer game than most people realized. Winston stayed in Antigua, still coaching, still giving. But the world moved on. People forgot his name. The cameras stopped calling. The cricket board stopped checking in. New stars emerged. New heroes captured attention. And Winston became a footnote in cricket history. But he stayed true to his mission. During these quiet years, Winston faced his own struggles. Money was tight, Recognition was non-existent. Some days he wondered if anyone cared about what he was doing, but then he would see a young player improve, or watch a kid from his program earn a scholarship, or receive a letter from a former student who had made good. Those moments sustained him. He developed a routine that became his anchor. Early morning runs on the beach, watching the sunrise paint the sky in brilliant colors. Afternoons at the cricket ground, working with whoever showed up. Evenings at home, planning sessions and reaching out to contacts who might help. It wasn't glamorous, but it was purposeful. The cricket world had largely forgotten about Winston Benjamin, but in the villages and neighborhoods of Antigua, he was still a giant. Kids would run to him when they saw him coming. Parents would stop him on the street to thank him for his work with their children. He was famous in a way that mattered more than any international recognition. In 2022, that silence broke. Winston, now in his late 50s, made a decision that would change everything. Frustrated by the lack of support for youth cricket in his community, he recorded a video on his phone. It was simple, unpolished, and completely authentic. He shared how hard it was to get even basic equipment for kids in Antigua. He said he had written to over a dozen former cricketers, asking for help. Not money, just cricket gear. Most never replied. The video was heartbreaking in its honesty. Here was a man who had given everything to cricket, who had represented his country with pride, who had continued serving long after his playing days were over, and he was struggling to get basic equipment for the next generation. The contrast was stark and painful, but one man did reply, Muhammad Azharuddin from India. Despite having no personal connection to Winston, despite being from a different country and era, Azharuddin sent a box of equipment without asking for anything in return. It was a gesture of pure sportsmanship that transcended borders and generations. That moment touched millions. The video went viral across social media platforms. Here was a forgotten fast bowler, still fighting for young players, still pushing, still giving. And finally people listened. Journalists, fans and athletes praised Winston. Many were shocked. They didn't know he was still out there, still working, still caring. The response was overwhelming. Donations poured in from around the world. Cricket boards that had ignored him for years suddenly wanted to help. Media outlets requested interviews, but Winston kept it simple. He said, "I just want to help. That's all I've ever wanted." The attention was gratifying, but it also felt strange. Winston had been doing this work for decades without recognition. Now suddenly everyone wanted to celebrate him. He appreciated the support, but he was more interested in using the platform to help more kids than in basking in the spotlight. Even after the viral fame, he didn't slow down. He continued coaching, but now with better resources and more support. Some of the young bowlers he mentored are now part of Caribbean Premier League teams. Others have earned scholarships to universities. Still others have found success in other sports or pursuits, carrying with them the lessons Winston taught them. He teaches not just how to bowl but how to think, how to stand strong, how to be disciplined. He tells them stories not just about wickets, but about life, about failure, about standing up when no one's clapping. His players learn that cricket is just the beginning, that the real test comes in how you handle success and failure, how you treat others, how you contribute to your community. People talk about legacy like it's something you leave behind when you die. But Winston Benjamin lives his legacy every day. His hands are rough from helping others, from holding cricket balls and fixing equipment and building nets. His eyes are tired but focused, still searching for the next young player who needs guidance. His voice is calm but powerful, still carrying the authority of someone who has been tested and emerged stronger. He's not in record books as the best bowler of all time. His statistics, while impressive, don't put him in the conversation with the absolute legends of the game, but he's in the hearts of those he helped. And that's the kind of legacy that never fades, that grows stronger with each passing year. The kids he coaches don't just see him as a former international cricketer. They see him as someone who chose to stay, who chose to invest in them, who chose to believe in their potential when no one else did. That kind of influence is immeasurable. Winston never had a mansion. He never became rich. He didn't write a best-selling autobiography. He didn't chase lucrative commentary contracts or coaching positions with international teams. But he gave the world more than numbers on a scorecard. He gave it belief. He proved that you don't need a spotlight to shine, that sometimes the strongest heroes are the quietest ones. Winston Benjamin destroyed batsmen with his pace and precision. He broke through defenses with his skill and determination, but he also broke barriers, challenged assumptions, and opened doors. He helped build dreams in dusty villages. He gave a voice to the forgotten, and through the years, through the silence, through the pain, he kept giving. Not for money, not for fame, for purpose. His story is not just about cricket. It's about fighting for something even when no one's watching. It's about staying loyal to who you are, regardless of changing circumstances. It's about turning rejection into motivation, about using setbacks as setups for comebacks. It's about lifting others when you have nothing left to give. It's about quiet strength that speaks louder than any roar. Winston's life teaches us this. You don't need medals to be a champion. You don't need cameras to matter. You don't need recognition to make a difference. You just need heart. And sometimes the most important victories happen long after the crowds have gone home. Smash that like button, subscribe and share Winston Benjamin's story, because real legends deserve to be remembered.